Welcome to Never Dull Moment. I'm Greg Blythe, and today we're going to bring something new to you. We like to occasionally come in and show you different specialty knives, one that you might not be familiar with. In Japanese culture, there's a lot of seafood eaten, and one particular delicacy is fugu or blowfish. The blowfish itself is quite expensive and dangerous, and you need to slice it very thinly, and the chef would like something that's very light in his hand. It's a delicate procedure. So what I'd like to show you is the knife that they use for that. It's called a fuguhiki, and in some retailers I've seen the word fugubiki. So I want to really quickly show you the differences between the two knives. So for a lot of you, you may be actually already used to the Yanagiba. So this is a 300 millimeter Yanagiba, and you can tell that the height of this knife is quite large in comparison to the fuguhiki. Okay. And also, we have some footage showing you that the spine of this knife on the Yanagiba is much thicker than what you would see on the Fuguhiki. So looking at the spine, you can see that these two are two different sizes. And obviously, this is going to add a lot of weight. Okay? So they both have an ura side. For those of you who are new to knives, these sides are single bevel. You can see that there's a bevel on one particular side. And then you can see as I turn the knife over, there is a hollow ground on the back side. You can see shiny edges, and you can see it's hollow ground this way. And what that does is for so many reasons. A lot of times you're taught that it helps to release food. There are other things talking about how to make the edge sharpen. It depends on if you talk to a knife maker, which I have, to the chef, but in Japanese culture, you have a lot of knives that are single-sided. In Western culture, we're used to 50-50 bevel, but for comparison today, I'm showing you the Yanagiba versus the Fuguhiki. And one of the things I want to point out is there's just a difference in size, different in weight, different in height, different in thickness, and that's for a reason. So what I have is I went ahead and shot some footage for you that we're going to refer to of what is customary. I, of course, do not have the ability to acquire blowfish, nor do I desire to do that. But if you've seen me slicing some whitefish for you, here you're going to see me trying to slice it very thin using the Fuguhiki. And then what they like to do is they plate it in a much better plating presentation that I could do. Generally, it's in the shape of a chrysanthemum, and normally you would like to have it thin enough that you can actually see the pattern in the plate through the fish. So I am not a sushi chef, so I'm doing my best to show you the knife at work. But as you can see, you're trying to make it very thin for presentation. The presentation, if I say this right, is uzu's ukuri. And that is, I think I got it right. That is the slicing thin method. Okay, so what I do want to point out is, even though this knife is used specifically, it was made specifically for the Fuguhiki process, the fugu slicing process, that does not mean that you cannot use it for other things. And actually in Japanese fish sushi chef culture, a lot of the chefs have actually gotten used to the knife just because it's lightweight. It's a nice alternative to the much heavier knife. So even though we have some footage of me using it on the fish, I do want to show you that there are many other things. Let me get my nice new cutting board out here. I'm so excited to show you guys. We're going to be doing a review on this. This is the Hasegawa cutting board. I'll tell you more about it later, but it's got a nice texture. I'm getting used to using it. I can't wait to give you a review about it. And when we've got that done, I'll put a link in the video above. So obviously, this is a big, heavy knife, and you can use it. There's nothing wrong with using it. Chefs would be able to do that. This just weighs a lot less. It's very thin. So the ability, to just slice, it's almost like the longest petty knife. You could even compare it to a sujihiki, even though it's single-sided. So, now, I am not used to this knife. I do not want to get cut on camera. But obviously we can do some fine work with it. So again, think of it as like a long petty. That is beautiful. We will, you can hear, but by the way, you can hear the texture of the cutting board. We'll talk about that on a different video, but I am loving this. So even, I'm not a sushi chef, so I don't do all the prep that they do, but they have all that, that beautiful work that they're used to doing. It makes this quickly, and easy for me to peel all that. A lot of times those guys are just so used to the single-sided knife, and the chef itself, they might actually use this kind of as their all-in-one, like even if they're into peeling. And I'm not going to pretend to be like the master of this. Let's see how good we can get it going today. I've already done the cardinal rule. I already broke it. So you guys aren't going to find, you're not going to hire me to be your sushi chef, obviously. I'm working on the technique. Trust me, I want to do a video on that. So, but for those who know how to do it, you would be able to use it that way. So think of it again as a long petty. Now, you can just see simply, there's a massive difference. One's 300 millimeter, one's 200, but you can just see it's a thin knife. I can tell you it weighs nothing. To just be able, you see how, like paper. I'm just getting paper. It weighs nothing. It would definitely be easier on the wrist as far as like having that extra weight in your hand the entire time. That wasn't too bad. But you guys see, these things can be used in a lot of ways. So from petty knife to fish knife to fugu knife to your all-purpose knife, this can do kind of everything. So if you haven't heard of this knife, you definitely have now. I hope I did it justice. There's one last thing that I'd like to point out before we go. So in the world of owning a single bevel knife, I'm making a mess. My wife can kill me later. As you guys know, she's behind the camera laughing at her husband. We try to do this in one take. We really try to like organically show you what's going on. So let me clean this real quick and just show you something it's going to take about sharpening this knife. If you are new to knives, you have not gotten into knife sharpening, and you have that stone that you need. These knives being single bevel, if you decide to purchase this and it becomes your all-in-one, you would sharpen it your normal way. But the first thing, and I'm not going to make a sharpening video out of this, but you need a flat stone because you need to be able to lay this knife flat. You do not want to mess up the hollow grind on the backside. That is there for specific reasons. So you need to be able to lay it flat and move back and forth. Okay? And it takes practice. So if you're not used to doing it, and I don't really have water on this per se, this, like I said, it's not a sharpening video, but I would put this on here, back and forth. This strengthens the backside of the knife. It definitely takes practice. And once you've strengthened this and you've cleaned that, you can go to the other side. And again, if you get into single bevel knives, from the shinogi line, this line here down, it's one continuous sharpen. There are people who put a micro bevel on it, all technical terms. I will put a link in the description to talk about sharpening. But again, I just wanted you to know, if you're new to sharpening and you're used to a 50-50 bevel, this is a new animal. So putting this down and getting this sharpened, doing it right, it takes some time. You can go out of 45 on this side. And I'm just kind of doing a walkthrough because the knife is already sharp. And then after you did so much on this side, you occasionally have to turn it over because the burr is being created on the side and you need to clean it up. You can obviously see that we're doing some good because there's slurry on the stone. And I would just suggest, since this knife is used for like really tedious work with fish and other things on a level of petty, do not cut yourself, please. Do not cut yourself on camera. We need to keep the knife sharp. I don't know if this knife is sharp at all. I haven't, yep. Yep, there you go. So whenever you're making fish beautiful, you need the edges to be nice. I don't know if you've ever eaten tethered looking fish, and it's not beautiful. So just know that this is a different animal. I'm glad to have introduced it to you. It is the much thinner, much lighter brother to the Yanagiba. Choose wisely, have fun. It was great sharing that with you. I'm having fun using it. Thank you for joining. We look forward to bringing you much more exciting stuff. Hit that like button. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support always. God bless. And once again, thanks for joining us. This was definitely not a dull moment.